Know nothing about this. That was March 2017. Katie McFarland on the right-hand side of the screen. Katie, as you know, I'll tell our viewers, there's a newly declassified email from Susan Rice, which is the day that the inauguration of the new president, where it contradicts what she said later. So sort it all out for us. What's going on with Susan Rice, Katie?
Well, she knew they had done something very, very wrong. And so minutes before she walked out of the West Wing of the White House, minutes before I actually walked into that same office, she was writing an email for the record saying, well, you know, President Obama did everything by the rules. We were all fine. Everything was good. It was a CYA memorandum, because she knew they had done something very wrong. And I think she assumed that people would come looking. And so she wrote that so that it would be uncovered and discovered. And hopefully she thought that would be enough to excuse them. I don't think it was. And the other thing, Stuart, that I read that last night and its entirety, and I thought, whoa, this is all about saying that we played by the rules and we turned over all of the information about Russia to General Flynn and to the incoming administration. General Flynn met with her 4 times in her office. I joined him for 2 of those meetings. And during the course of those, she never talked about Russia. She never mentioned it, and yet she knew the entire time that they were about to impose sanctions.
You believe that at meetings in the White House before President Trump was inaugurated, at meetings in the White House, a plot was hatched to go after Flynn and use him as the way to get to Russia, Russia, Russia. That's what you think happened?
Yes, I do. And but it wasn't necessarily only Flynn. They had, after the election, they made up their minds that they were going to sabotage the Trump presidency with the National Security Council staff. I saw that when I was there. Not only that, but they were listening in on General Flynn's phone calls. Who else were they listening into? That was the thing that bothered me, Stu.
To the news that Senate Judiciary, led by Chairman Lindsey Graham, may soon subpoena about 53 Obama officials connected to the FBI's potential surveillance abuses of the Trump campaign. This as House Democrats did ask the Supreme Court to let them see secret grand jury evidence from the Mueller probe to continue to investigate and potentially try to impeach again President Trump, this time taking on obstruction of justice. We welcome to the show House Intelligence Ranking Member, Congressman Devon Nunez. Great to have you on, Congressman.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Sir, House Republicans have been doing, you've been doing your own probe for 3 years. No referrals for Obama or Joe Biden. A.G. Barr says he doesn't expect to see criminal referral charges, criminal referrals. Who have you made your own criminal referrals for?
Well, I'm not going to get into specific names, and I've had a long-standing policy of that because I just don't think it's appropriate. I think we have to have a strong justice system in this country. And what I have talked about is I've talked about what we did refer for. So we have 2 conspiracy referrals. We have 1 referral on specifically on a set of leaks. We have another referral on leaks, and then we have a couple other referrals on lying or misleading Congress. So that's the breadth of the referrals. I also expect, now that a lot of people have been able to read a lot of what's been declassified over the last couple months, I do expect to have referrals on what I call the Mueller dossier team, who put together a 2-part Fantasyland story, and then also indicted people from that. So I expect.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we know the Susan Rice infamous January 20th, 2016, just moments after President Donald Trump is sworn into office. Susan Rice sends an email to herself saying, don't worry, this whole Spygate thing, Barack Obama investigating people using and weaponizing government to spy on his political opponents. Don't worry, he told everybody do it by the book. There you go. Case closed. Show's, of course, show's not over because that is just the beginning. There was something very suspicious, however, about that email. There was a large block of it redacted. Now we know why. Before I get to the redactions, we put up this Washington Examiner article. Be in the show notes today. Please check it out by the great Jerry Dunleavy. Bongino.com/newsletter. You can check out the show notes. Here's a little summary of what happened with this thing. Fully declassified Susan Rice email reveals reluctance to share sensitive Russia information with Mike Flynn. Interesting. Now, remember, Susan Rice, who was Barack Obama's national security advisor, and ladies and gentlemen, she's not knee-deep. She's waist-deep, if not neck-deep, in all of these Spygate malfeasance. Remember what I said to open up the show today. Mike Flynn knew, Susan Rice knew, and Susan Rice knew Mike Flynn knew. Keep that in your head as we go along here. This whole use of the dossier and political information to spy on the opponents, Susan Rice knows everything. Now,
the Susan Rice email isn't any sort of smoking gun. On Tuesday, Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell released a previously classified email sent by Obama administration National Security Advisor Susan Rice on January 20, 2017, detailing a meeting between the President, Vice President, FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates on January 5 of that year to discuss Michael Flynn. Republicans seized on the email as proof that Flynn, a top advisor to Donald Trump's campaign, and the soon-to-be National Security Advisor, had, in fact, been the target of a covert operation by the outgoing president in an effort to hamstring his successor. Wow. Ongoing spying from an outgoing POTUS on the incoming POTUS, directed by Obama himself, is unprecedented in the 243 years of our nation's history, tweeted Texas Senator Ted Cruz about the email on Tuesday. There's just one problem here. Rice's email proves nothing of the sort. In fact, it proves the opposite of what Cruz, Trump and lots of other Republicans have been insisting for years was going on in the final days of the Obama administration. Rather than revealing some sort of rogue, extralegal spying by Obama and his top advisors, it shows a president going out of his way to ensure that all laws and rules are followed, while also acknowledging that Flynn's dealing with the Russians meant that everyone involved needed to proceed very carefully. Before we get into the actual meat of the letter, let's remember some key context. Rice notes that the meeting came on the heels of an intelligence community briefing on Russian hacking in the 2016 election. We now know that the intelligence community had concluded that Russia had sought to actively interfere in the 2016 election to help Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. The Russians did so because they believed Trump would be better for their interests than Clinton. The special counsel investigation led by Robert Mueller and the Senate Intelligence Committee probe reached the same conclusions. And let's also remember that Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the